Listen, okay, let me just adjust this way just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. Let me give it a couple of minutes for people to come on in. Let me give it a couple of minutes for people to come. I cannot believe that I actually got started on time. Okay, I cannot believe that I actually got started on time. Okay, I'm not gonna jinx myself. I'm not gonna say, well, you know what? Let's be for sure. Let me check myself. Listen, I give people time to come on in. Come on in. Let me make sure I am live over here on these here tubes. Okay, let me make sure I am live over here on these tubes. Okay, if y'all hear some music in the background, that is my pan music, okay? If you are not familiar with pan music, okay, there we go. If you are not familiar with pan music, check it out. I listened to a guy by the name of Malte Martin, and he is absolutely phenomenal. Hello and welcome to another episode of Hood Parenting Live. I am your host, Yashika, affectionately known as Fairy Godmother Honey. Y'all like my church hat? This is what I wore to church, okay? If you want to know my whole outfit, make sure that you follow me on all the other social platforms where I do the whole reel of whatever outfit I wore to church that day, okay? Listen, today I am talking about dreams do come true. Okay. But before we get started, as people come into the room, listen, shout out and let me know where you are from. Shout out and let me know where you are from. And listen, if this is your first time joining me, hello and welcome. And if you are returning, welcome home. Listen, I see that I'm almost at 600 subscribers. Okay. Listen, I celebrate everything over here. I celebrated when I hit the 500 subscribers, and I will be celebrating when I get to 600 because it's like this 600 mark is like, because 500 came. Then all of a sudden it starts slowing down, right? It starts slowing down. So when I get to 600 subscribers here on YouTube, understand that I will celebrate because I celebrate everything, all right? I celebrate everything. And so if you are joining me and you have not subscribed, if you feel like doing so, go ahead and subscribe and turn on your notifications. And so when I do post a video or go live, you will be the first to know. And go ahead and share this with somebody, right? Tell somebody else about this girl named Yashika that calls herself Fairy Godmother that runs this platform called Hood Parenting that talks about life and things that I've endured and the many lives that I've lived. And I come here giving you all these things, right? Because here's the thing, there's three ways to do something, right? Just like that light, when you're traveling down that light, right? You come to a light in the street, it's traffic light. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's red, okay? We already know when it's red, we can't go through it. When it's yellow, you be like, you know what? I can push it and I might can get through that doggone light before it turn red, okay? The other one is the green. You already know that's the green light. That's the go. You are clear to move forward. That's just how life is. There are going to be things that will be like, you know what? This is the path, okay? But sometimes that path will just get you so far, that straight green path. Every now and then you got to push the buttons on the yellow. I don't know. But what I'm saying to you is that no matter what route you take, because even that easy route you take, that green path that you take, it's only going to get you so far because playing it safe in this world is only going to get you so far. You got to take a little risk. So we all know that green path, right? Then we got that yellow path and we got that red path. So if that enlightens you or if that inspires you or if you connect with that, share this platform with somebody, right? Because I don't just it's not just about parenting young children or whatever. This is about, and I don't talk to young children. This is about talking to that inner child of ourselves where we didn't learn what we didn't know, right? We didn't know what we didn't know and we didn't learn it. And so we're trying to get rid of the things that no longer serve us other people's ideas, the way that we should do things, and living in this life the way that we are supposed to. And so that's what hood parenting is. And so I give you all the tools, honey, all the wisdom, all the tools, all the life lessons. Now, listen, I don't know where it's going to go off for you, but I'm just telling you what the things I've been through in my many lives, okay? Look, also, today I am drinking because someone has asked me before. They said, girl, your tea look good. What are you drinking? So I like to drink this a raspberry tea, okay? It's real dark. If you can see that raspberry tea, okay? You see it's piping hot too. That's what I like to drink. And it's made by Celestial, and it's called Raspberry Zinger or something like that. Phenomenal. Okay, I put a little honey in there. I put a little lemon, and I got me some perfect tea. Okay, now that's what I also got. I got tea. Also, just in case I need something a little bit more to quench my thirst. Of course, I got a little water. Got a little water sitting here because whenever you talking and you having a conversation, you gotta drink you some water. Okay. But every now and then, you might need to calm yourself down. So understand this. I do got a little wine. So those are what I have sipping on today. Okay. So today we are talking about dreams do come true. My very first brand ambassador deal. And we're going to also talk about alignment. Because when I tell you none of those things aren't going to be able to become true. Dreams can't come true, and you can't get an ambassador deal if you are not in alignment. So that's what we're going to talk about today on this Hood Parenting Live. Listen, as you come into the room, don't be shy. Come in and say hello. And if you are wondering, I do like to go live every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then also on Wednesdays, I am doing this whole vlog thing now, right? I'm in this era where I'm going to do the things that I said I was going to do in 2026. And that include vlogging. Okay, because let me tell you something. By the time you do videos or you do reels or you do all these things to come up with a 1.5-minute video or a 90-second reel or a 60-second reel, that is literally a lot of content that you're creating. And so I said, I'm tired of not putting it out here because I know the things that I do as a single woman, as a woman in my 50s, as a homeowner, as a veteran, as a mom, as so many things, as I wear so many hats. I know that I am not the only one in the world trying to figure it out and not let anything fall by the wayside, because sometimes you get overwhelmed. It's overwhelming trying to do everything. And so that's what my vlogs are about, just my everyday life. And so those will be posted once a week. And so make sure you also, again, turn on your notifications. So when I do upload those vlogs, you will know. All right. And let me know if it's something specific that you want to hear or you want me to discuss or whatever. And put a comment down below and I will make a video specifically pertaining to that. Now, let's get into it. Can we give listen, okay. I'm going to say this just in case people forget. I am 52 years of age. 52. I will be 53 in March. We are now currently in January of 2026. Come March of 2026, I will be 53. Okay. I got my first ambassador. Listen, when I tell you this is like one of the most amazing things that can happen. So let me tell you about how all this come about. Let me give you the backstory, because this is what I mean when I say dreams do come true. I made a post about this on the other social platforms, but I didn't go into detail because I wanted to save it for this live right here. The ambassador deal that I have is with Sassy Jones Accessories. It is an accessory-based brand here in Richmond, Virginia, owned by Sharice Jones, okay? And when I tell you that this phenomenal woman has done amazing, go shop. Listen, go to her website, shopsassyjones.com. Shopsassyjones.com, go to her website, okay? And you could just see all the phenomenal jewelry that she has and accessories and pieces and ready to wear and all those things, like all the things, all right? When I tell you that I'm not even gonna go down that rabbit hole because I already know I'll go deeper, but listen, go ahead and follow her, Sassy Jones, on all platforms, and you can catch me Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time going live. And listen, on the Sassy Shopping Network. That's the name of it. So think about that. Think about that at 52. That means that I am a model. And so when you think about the Sassy Shopping Network, you're thinking about think about HSN or QVC, right? Where the model sits there and she models, or he or she models the item, and they tell you the details about it. And you can see the score. You can see the people buying it. You can see how many you have left. You can do all the things and describe it. So we're doing that on all social platforms, all right? Monday through Friday, and my day is on Wednesday. I am a group of 5 beautiful young ladies ranging from like the age of 26 all the way up to my big old age of 52. And we are doing this. This is like a pilot program. This is the first time that the CEO, Sharice Jones, have done this. And when I tell you that this is, all I can say is thank you. When I say thank you, all I can say is thank you. How did I get here? When I talk about this, dreams do come true. I remember as a kid, and I say this because everything has a place in your life. Everything connects in your life, okay? I don't care who you are or what has happened. Of course, we want our lives to be where everything that ever happens is always beautiful. Everything that always happens is in our benefit, plays on our behalf. It's going to benefit us in some kind of way, catapult us forward. Of course, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want a life of obstacle free? Who don't want a life of not having to go through suffering and struggle and obstacles and barriers and all the things, all the feels, all the sadness? Who doesn't want that life? But that's not a life. That's literally no one can ever say that they've lived that kind of life, because that's no life. But what I will say is, if we know that, then we have to really be careful about what do we do putting forward. So for me, my thought as a kid was, you know what? These are the things that I want to do. And one of those things that I wanted to do was be a model. And that's why I say all things are connected no matter what. I wanted to be a model. And so I remember going down to Barbizon. Okay. Now I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I'm sure that Barbizon was in other states. I'm not sure how many states it was exactly, but for me, it was in Detroit. So I remember setting up this whole thing. I don't even remember where I got the ad from. I was a very eccentric kid. That's all I knew. I was a very eccentric girl. I was always trying to figure things out. In my mind, even as a young girl, I had to have the answers on my life. And I don't know if that's something that's unique to me necessarily, or if everybody goes through that. Like, in other words, everybody is trying to find themselves. And so I remember as a young girl trying to figure out what it is I was good at. And so I would do I would try different things. And one of those things was trying to go to Barbizon Modeling Agency. Now, here's the thing. My mother was, and I've said it before, she was on welfare most of my life up until I was about 12 or 13 years of age. Single parent, teenage mom, the whole 9 yards, although she was married, but she never was with my father. And so her income was like, couldn't afford to send me to Barbizon. So me being who I was, I decided that I'm going to have a meeting with each one of my uncles and tell them why I felt like they should invest in me going to Barbizon. Okay. Now, none of them did it. They looked at me like, little girl, if you don't go ahead on, we try to make it through life. Because in my mind, my uncles had money. In my mind, my uncles had money. Now, I don't know if that was true or not. But as a little girl, in my mind, because they drove flashy cars and all that kind of stuff. So in my mind, they had money. Okay, so I told them how I wanted them to help me go to Barbizon. But of course, none of them signed on, and I didn't go. All right, I didn't go. But that didn't mean that didn't want to be a model. So there were things that I would do. I never did I did like hair shows before where I actually walked in hair shows as a cosmetologist, a student, whatever. I've done hair shows where I have to walk and I had the American flag or whatever hairstyle they did on me. I've done those things, I've done basic things like that. I've never done anything to this level where I am really showing up. And it's not even about aesthetics, although, honey, thank my mama for these cheekbones, okay? Go on over to my mama page and thank her for these cheekbones, okay? Thank her for these cheekbones. However, this isn't just about that. It's just about me showing up authentically and who I am and being what's needed for this brand in this season for women my age. And I cannot listen to represent the Gen Xers, okay, the 50 plus ladies. Listen. Okay, listen. I have been on cloud 9. When I tell you that it wakes me up out of my sleep because I'm thinking about it, honey. Because I don't want to listen. I'm thinking about what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna say. Because remember, you're standing in front of the camera. You're talking about beautiful items. You're talking about beautiful necklaces and bangles and dangles. You're talking about beautiful things like stacks and beautiful things, right? So I want to be able to make sure that I give it the full attention that it needs. And so it's giving me that, Yashika, what are you going to do? Make sure you remember this. Make sure you remember that. Make sure you study. All right. Because the Army gave me a special set of skills. Okay. Because I got to know all the things. I got to know all the things about what I'm doing. And so I am so looking forward to this. Now, how did I get here? Like I said, I remember wanting to be a model. And of course, I am really into hair and makeup, being a licensed cosmetologist. And so all those things really fall into line. But how it looked in 2025, my bingo card in 2025 said that I wanted a particular size contract. Like I specifically said the number of digits with a particular department store. Okay, a particular name brand nationwide department store. And I was like, I want this. And it was on my bingo card. Literally, it was on my bingo card for 2025. Okay. So as we are rounding off 25, now let me just say this. I have very little social following. And so the odds of them giving me any type of deal is slim to none. However, I still believe anything is possible. That's just where I live my life. Okay. I live my life in that land where you never know. You never know. Okay. That's how I live my life. So in other words, because listen, everybody start from somewhere. Everybody start from somewhere. Everybody start from the bottom. All right. And then it'd be that one thing that happened. And before you know it, your career is catapulted. Just like that. I mean, I've listened to people and their stories about this person did that. You know what I mean? Like I listened to Black Panther when he talked about how Denzel Washington was the one that donated and gave them a scholarship, and he was one of the kids that got the scholarships. Okay, so Chad Boseman, and so listen, I hear stuff like that, I believe in all that. I believe in all that, right? So in my mind, this department store, it's possible for them to give me this particular contract that I wanted. Okay, now that didn't happen, not yet. Make no mistake that it has not happened yet. Okay, it has not happened yet. Okay, now with that being said, I said, okay, so I saw an ad on Facebook for an open call for Sassy Jones in the Richmond, Virginia area. And it had requirements about different things that you had to do. Now, before I talk about the ad, let me back up. About 3 years ago, I received a phone call from a friend of mine or an associate of mine who was in a mastermind group with me at one point. Now, by the time that I received this phone call, we were no longer in a mastermind together, but we had a mutual coach from a different program that we were in who was coming to the Richmond area. And so this particular associate gave me a reach out. She said, "Hey, this person is coming to town. Won't you consider going to their event?" So I said, "Absolutely, I would love to the event." So I had never met this person in person, but yet I was in one of their programs. And so I was like, this would be a perfect time for me to meet this person. So I went out to the event. And so the CEO of Sassy Jones was there, Miss Sharice Jones. She was there. Now, she wasn't in guest attendance, excuse me, she was not speaking or anything like that because this particular person, she was the only person that was speaking at this event. It was just like a very, very intimate event. All right. So the CEO of Sassy Jones, Sharice Jones, Miss Sharice Jones, was sitting in the audience. And so I remember people in the area because they know who she is. We know who she is. She is popular, especially in this area, and she is a mogul, right? She's a mogul. She's a beast. Okay, she's a beast. And so I just remember after it, everybody kind of mixing, mingling, and then for the people who had never met her before, they went and talked to her and things like that. Now, I have had a conversation or two with her in proximity, but by no means were we any type of friends or anything like that. I just had a conversation with her in the past. And so this particular day, when everybody was talking to her, I didn't really say nothing, but there was something on my spirit, and the hairs on my arms are standing up while I'm talking about this. But there was something on my spirit that it just made me say to her, "Don't stop," right? And that's all I said. I said, "Don't stop," right? Because by this time, everybody was gone. And I turned to her and I said, "Don't stop," right? And she said, "That's right." She said, "Don't never stop." And I didn't talk about like who I was and what I did or anything like that. And she knew we were there. So she knew I was talking about just whatever business and business. She knew that. And so she said to me, "I know you." And I said, "Maybe," and so that was pretty much it. So like I said, that was like maybe 3 years ago. So I see this right before the year in 2025. I see this ad on social for an open call for ambassadors for Sassy Jones, and interviews were to take place the very next day. And so I was like, you know what? Why not? Okay. So I woke up the next day, and at first I was just like, I'm not going to do it. But what I did do that night was just in case, because one of the requirements was to bring a resume. And so, so of course, I made sure that I had a current resume and everything. And so I said, okay, what I'll do is I'll just make sure I have everything together. And if I get up and do it, because typically that's my gym time, if I get up and go, or whatever, then I'll do it. Because in my mind, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I just know that when I'm told to move, I move. That's all I know. That's all I know. When I'm told to move, I move. I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing in this thing called life. All I know is that there are goals that I have, and I know that I can't stay still too long, and I have to make movements, even if the movements doesn't necessarily give me the results that I need. Because even if the movements doesn't give me the results that I need, it still allows me to know at least what I don't need, right? The movement I don't need to make. And so that's how I am in my life now. Because I'm at that age where I already know I'm not going to have all the answers to everything. I already know that I may not even have the answers to the very next level, let alone the level I'm on right now. Okay. All I know is that I'm told to move, and so I move. So the next morning I got up and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go to this interview. Luckily, I had a Sassy Jones dress. And so I found the dress, beautiful dress. And I had bought it from the time that I had went to the storefront with the women who came to town that time. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go. I mean, because this is something that I can do. I can get in front of the camera. I can sell a product. Although I have no experience in sales, I have no experience in modeling. I have no experience in talking while I'm modeling. I have none of those experiences. Okay, I have none experiences. I am a combat soldier, retired. I am a licensed cosmetologist. Okay. I have a lot of skills, but modeling wasn't one of them. It was a desire, but I never had a skill. I never had that. I never been trained. Well, I decided to go ahead and go. So when I went, of course, there were plenty of people there, young people. Okay, so in my mind, okay, here we are. But okay, we're here. We're gonna go through it. So when I walked in and she shook my hand and introduced herself, all I can hear was the conversation that she and I had had 3 years ago about keeping going. And when I tell you, it was almost like a out of body experience, as if there was something that was telling me that I am exactly where when I tell you I can't explain it, it's like one of those things where when you are where you're supposed to be, you don't know you don't know nothing. All you know is just like, oh, okay, because I've seen this before. Like, I've been here before. You ain't been there before, but you feel like you've been there before. You feel like this is I know how to do this. I can do this. It was like that. It was almost as if I had been it's almost as if I had been training for that moment my whole life. And that's the best way I could describe it. That is the absolute best way that I could describe it. It felt like as if I had been training for that moment my whole life. And so what we had to do was take her products, her necklaces, her jewelry, and just do a lights, camera, action. In other words, really quick on the spot, right? Because like I said, I'm not a trained actor, not any of those things. Lights, camera, action, go. Okay, go. And so for me, I was like, and I just started talking. And I bought who I am to it, meaning that I bought the passion. I bought the girl of who I am. I bought all of who Yashika is. That's all I know. Even if I didn't know anything else, didn't even know nothing about what I'm doing, I bought me. And it got me a position as a brand ambassador for Sassy Jones. And when I tell you, this is one of those things where dreams do come true, right? Dreams do come true, especially when you know that you are like for me, like I said, in that moment of walking in there, I felt like I was where I was supposed to be. I don't even know how I got there, right? It was like I saw the ad on social that Thursday, and then that Friday at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m., I was standing at a open call. That's all I know. And just so happened, baby, these cheekbones, okay? These cheekbones, they were ready to perform. That's all I know. These cheekbones, she was like, lights, camera, action. These cheekbones say, okay. These cheekbones say, honey, we are here, okay? And when I tell you they performed, okay? They performed, and I am so thankful for it. It's one of those things where when I think about things like that happens in my life, because those things happen, I don't think about, wow, I can't believe this happened to me. That's not what I think about. I think about, thank you, because I know that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be at. Even if I have an expectation, because here's the thing, in my mind, right, that's just like when I went on Squid Games, right? If you don't know, I was contestant 309 in Squid Games season 2. In my mind, when I went over to London, I was about to take home the whole prize. I was about to be a superhero on TV. Even at the time I was 51, I was about to be a superhero on TV. Everybody was going to know who I was because I was going to go and kick ass on Squid Games, okay? None of that happened. None of it. None of that happened. Matter of fact, I barely showed up on the screen. I got eliminated so damn fast, I barely showed up on the screen. That's what happened, okay? That's what happened, right? But that ain't what I went in there thinking was going to happen, but that's what happened. I had to still face it. So what I'm saying to you is we all have these expectations about what we believe is going to happen, what we want to happen, what we desire to happen. What's going to happen is going to happen. You do your part. You put your best foot forward. You know that, did I show up in my complete? Yes, I did. I know that I did. Okay. Now, do we know what we know? Of course not. We don't know what we don't know. So how do you know, okay, do this or do that? There's no roadmap to this thing called life. But what I do know is when you're doing something and it doesn't feel forced, it doesn't make you feel anxious, it doesn't feel like you feel strange to it, that's your alignment. You walking in your alignment. It's like, this is where I'm supposed to be at. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be at. And that's how I felt going into that interview, that open call for Sassy Jones. That's how I felt. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be at. I've been preparing for this my whole life. I ain't never in my life did no type of modeling except for a hair show, a local hair show. Okay. That's it. That's all. That's it. They had to tell me get off stage. I was like, okay, you can get off stage now. Cause I was like, it's time to get off stage. It's like, girl, you been up here long enough. Cause I was still on stage. I'm for real. I was like, I had a flag on my head. I was like, they was like, girl, go. The judge was like, girl, go. I was like, that was me. I had a torch in my hand, like I was a Statue of Liberty. So that was me. So what I'm saying, I never did any form of mileage aside from that. And so even in that moment, still, I went in there like, listen, I'm confident in who I am. And that's it. That's all I can give you is who I am. That's it. And that's what I went in there with. And it made me feel like I was like I had been prepared my whole life. That's what it felt like. That's what alignment feels like. Alignment feels like something that you're doing and it doesn't feel like you're being forced to do it. You don't feel uncomfortable doing it. You don't feel like, oh God. I mean, granted, we're going to have a little bit of fear in us, right? Because fear is false evidence appearing real. We all know that, okay? We're going to have a little fear in us. That's that little something that gets us going. We all need that. We all need to have that little oomph because we don't ever want to get to a place in our lives where we're so comfortable with everything that, because when we start getting comfortable with things, you start like overlooking things. You start making like mistakes that shouldn't be made. But because we're comfortable, we don't see like, we should have paid better, more attention to this, or we should have recognized this, but we didn't because we were so comfortable. We just thought everything was dressed right, when it wasn't. Okay. That's what it is, right? When we think about alignment, just being comfortable in that space, knowing that everything that you're doing is fitting. You don't know what you're fitting into. You don't know what it's doing, but you know that the pieces are fitting in the greater good, because I know what my prayer was when it came to me getting this brand deal, this ambassador deal, and for me, it was not just about my accomplishments, about what I wanted to do in terms of, I wanted to have this contract with this, but I also knew why I needed those things. Okay. Because responsibility is what they say, heavy is the head that wear the crown. Heavy is the head that wear the crown. And so all I know is that in this part of my life, I don't want to work harder. Like when I served for 25 years in the military, I had to use my body. I had to use those things, right? In order to get to, I want to take all the things that I've learned in my life, the things that I've been through, the things that and I want this part of my life to be about using all those things, right? Because I know that this is what this part of my life is about. And so for me to get this brand ambassador gig, this is the first. When I tell you this is the first of many, this is the first of many. This is the first of many. Because I know what I've done in order to align myself with these type of things. Right? I know it's possible. And so that's what I know about dreams coming true and alignment. Okay? Because I know that none of this would be possible if I was sitting in self-doubt, if I was sitting in, if I had to count myself out, if I had to say, well, no, because I already know she won't. Because here's the thing, I don't know what she wants, but I could have easily said to myself, well, no, because I know that she probably wants young kids, or she wants younger adults, or or people who were models or what, this is what I'm thinking in my mind. This is what I'm thinking in my mind because I'm filling in the answers for her when I haven't even asked the questions. And we do that sometimes. We count ourselves out of something before we even try because we are sometimes afraid of failure. We will talk ourselves out of something not because we can't do it, not because we're not qualified. It's because we talk ourselves out of it before we even try. We count ourselves out. And I'm so glad I didn't do that day. I'm so glad that I decided to say, you know what, Yashika, go ahead and get yourself up and go. Go to this open call and you never know. You never know. And that's what I did. And I could tell you that what a way to start off 2026. Right? Because we went in for orientation the first week in January and we start everything this upcoming week we are still in January this upcoming week. So again, go to Sassy Jones platforms and catch me on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week I am talking about, listen, I got the Silver Fox Calliope, okay? I have the double stud earrings to go with it, the stack, okay? I got all of the beautiful things. So make sure you come over and check me out and I will be sure to put that particular, I will put that down below to make sure that the link is down below on where you can catch me on Wednesdays. And so listen, I know that dreams do come true. Dreams do come true. Dreams do come true. Don't count yourself out. Ever. You throw your rod out there and you go and do the thing. And if that's not where you're supposed to be at, then guess what? Another door will open and you'll be like, okay, let me throw my rod over here. Okay. Right? Because you never know. You never know because dreams do come true. Because I am so thankful. I am so thankful that the little girl, Yashika, gets to see the 52-year-old woman, Yashika, be a model in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. That is such a blessing. Listen, I don't know who this is for, but I know this is for somebody. Okay? Dreams do come true. Right? Alignment is everything. When you are walking in alignment, you can feel it, honey. Trust me when I tell you why, because everything in your life is connected. Everything. Even if it doesn't turn out the way you think it's supposed to, just keep going. Because guess what? Sometimes we ain't ready. Because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to be no model at 12. I ain't have no money. Okay? And I'm just saying, a brand ambassador, that's a model to me. Okay? Because guess what? That's where I'm headed. I know that's for a fact. That's where I'm headed. And this is just the beginning. Can't tell you how I know, but I know. NDAs are real. Listen, this has been a pleasure. And if you have not subscribed, go ahead and click the bell. Yeah, click the subscribe button down below and click the notification bell. So when I drop another video, you will know. And don't forget to check my vlogs out, okay? I'm still trying to figure out where I'm going with this and everything, but all I know is that 2026 and beyond, we have been training for this. We have been training for this for many, many lives. And when I tell you that I am ready, I am ready. And so you keep going. Don't you let nobody ever tell you you can't do what it is you said you was going to do. You be that person that you said you wanted to be when you came here. And don't you forget, all right? I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.